Good morning, Cityside. Snowy day today. We hope you're warm at home. Sing along with me. People with hope have a special prayer, a louder drum, a brighter flare. This is a song for the hopeful. Make God hear it sung. People with faith are the lucky kind. They'll be the ones with peace of mind. This is a song for the faithful. Make God hear it sung. There's a song for the doubtful. There's a song for the lost. There's a song for the desert, barren but crossed. But for those who are strong of spirit, maybe they don't need to hear it, but still a song for them, a simple song for them. Nothing can shade a searching soul. It's what's not there that makes us whole. This is a song for the hopeful. This is a song for the faithful. This is a song for the hopeful. May God hear it sung. May God hear it sung. May God hear it sung.
Thank you, Greg. And good morning, Cityside. Good morning. Welcome to this beautiful, snowy, cold winter's last day of January morning. And welcome to our Sunday morning service and celebration. My name is Jonathan Hoffman, and I am one of your licensed spiritual practitioners. And today I am also your host. So I hope everyone feels welcome. Each week you can join our live stream by going to our website, cityside.me, and clicking the Watch Online button in the header. If you'd like to follow along with today's service, you can move over to the calendar page, find today's date, and then just click the View Sunday Bulletin. There you'll find our affirmations, our music, and just information about the day. We encourage everyone to support Cityside on social media. So like us, share us, do whatever you can to just amplify Cityside's voice out in the social media network. We recognize that a lot of people hear about Cityside through you, so we just encourage this activity with social. Cityside is affiliated with the Centers for Spiritual Living, and we are all about a practical spirituality, just spirituality that you can use in your life to create and cultivate the life that you desire. We honor all paths, we practice oneness, and we embrace new thought and ancient wisdom teachings. And we are committed to providing a supportive and safe community where you can explore and deepen in your own spiritual path by connecting to the Spirit and the wisdom that resides right where you are. Licensed spiritual practitioner John Adams is holding vigil today, which means John is in a deep meditative state, holding the space so that we can each have a more connected and transformative experience as a community. Our January theme this entire month has been Spiritual Reboot, and it's starting afresh with an updated internal guidance system. And today, we have the pleasure of hearing our spiritual director, Reverend Aimee Daniels, bring the message, Building the Muscle of Belief. And this is influenced and based on the 4th chapter of the Introduction to the Science of Mind called How to Use It. So I really like this title, Building the Muscle of Belief, just because it really represents the process and the effort it takes of, not only holding an idea in mind, but having it sink down into the core of your consciousness that you know it. So I'm looking forward to hearing from Aimee on how this process works, hearing more about that. And so now it's time to move into the portion of our service where we speak our mission and our vision statements. And you can follow along on the online Sunday bulletin, or it should appear on the screen momentarily. But please join me in affirming it together. We envision an empowered community that is living in a world of unconditional love in action. Our mission is to create safe spaces to explore and deepen our faith, grow in spiritual relationship, and connect with our authentic nature.
You'd think that people would have had enough of silly love songs, but I look around me and I see it isn't so. Some people want to fill the world with silly love songs, and what's wrong with that? I'd like to know, 'cause here I go again. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. I can't explain the feelings plain to me. Now can't you see? You gave me more, you gave it all to me. Now can't you see what's wrong with that? I need to know, 'cause here I go again. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Love doesn't come in a minute. Sometimes it doesn't come at all. I only know that when I'm in it isn't silly. No, it isn't silly. Love isn't silly at all. How can I tell you about my loved one? How can I tell you about my loved one? How can I tell you about my loved one? How can I tell you about my loved one? I love you. I love you. I can't explain the feelings plain to me. So can't you see? You gave me more, you gave it all to me. So can't you see? You'd think that people would have had enough of silly love songs. But I look around me and I see it isn't so. Oh no. Some people want to fill the world with silly love songs. And what's wrong with that?
Thank you, Greg. And if this is your first time joining Cityside, we especially want to thank you for being in community with us today. And we'd love for you to subscribe to our, or hit the subscribe button in the header on our website so that we can get on our mailing list, because we would love to stay in touch with you. So in February, starting tomorrow, we will begin Awakening the Heart and exploring the book True Love by Thich Nhat Hanh. So we invite everyone in the community to join in this conversation by reading this book. It's very short. It's an easy read. It's very sweet, but very profound. So it's a really great resource that we will be learning about throughout the month of February. And I'm very excited and grateful to have the opportunity to let you know about the latest group that's forming at Cityside. This is called a Racial Equity Circle. And this is a group of individuals that are devoted to having open and honest conversations about race and racial equity. And we are opening this up and inviting you to participate in this conversation. This group will be exploring topics that you want to talk about, whether it's discrimination in housing or education or the psychology of racism or just really anything. We are asking you to come to our introductory circle meeting on February 25th. So just go to the website online, go to the events page, and then just it's the first one that comes up, and you can register there. Add your name and your email address. You'll be sent an information to the Zoom link for our first class that's starting, or first group that's starting on February 25th. So please consider joining us and going deep with this very important and topical subject. So whether it's through education, study groups, a racial equity circle, or prayer, we really hope that you will lean into this community and deepen in your spiritual growth during this time.
Oh, good morning, my Cityside peeps. My name is Don Mannery, one of your licensed spiritual practitioners. I'm always so grateful to hear that silly love song in the morning. I don't know why, that song always gets to me for some reason. Anyways, to get back on topic, sorry. I get the honor and privilege of doing our reading, meditation, and invocation today. Today's reading is from The Science of Mind, the definitive edition by Ernest Holmes. A treatment is a spiritual entity in the mental world and is equipped with power and volition, as much power and volition as there is faith in it, given to it by the mind of the one using it and operating through the law. It knows exactly how to work and what methods to use and just how to use them. We do not need to put the power into this word, but we do need to let the power of law flow through it. And the one who most completely believes in this power will produce the best results. This is the law of cause and effect. Again, when one gives a treatment for right action and does not believe that right action will be the result, he makes his own treatment negative. Therefore, we should spend much time in convincing ourselves of the truth of our treatments. Now, this is not a power of will, but a power of choice. We do not put the power into the treatment, and we will not take out of the treatment only as much as we believe is in it. We should work not with anxiety, but with expectancy, not with coercion, but with conviction, not through compulsion, but in the state of conscious recognition and receptivity. We do not have to drive or push, but we must accept and believe. We should, then, leave everything to the law, expecting a full and complete proof of our faith. We shall not be disappointed nor cringe, for the law is our faithful servant. Now, for whatever space that you're in, I just ask if you feel comfortable to allow yourself to close your eyes. And just let's take a few moments to really connect with that spirit within each and every one of us. Oh, and gently just allow yourself to come back within your body. Take a deep breath. Really allow yourself to be present and available in this moment. Knowing that right here and right now, the power and presence of God is here, within, as, and through all life. There is no place where this energy, light, or vibration of love and spirit is not. And I know that I'm one with this energy and spirit of God. I know that everything that it is, I am. And it is just from this place of oneness that I speak a blessing on today's service, knowing that everything flows with an ease and grace to it. Oh, so grateful for all the hearts and hands that have come together to make this service possible. Even through this wonderful winter snow, that we all show up today, that we fully be present and available. I know that Aimee's talk is just uplifting today and reaches us on a deeper level, that consciousness is raised today. So grateful for the musician Greg sharing his talents with us, always giving of himself, knowing that each one of us that have showed up today is just a blessing, and that we're a blessing to have this community watching us online, contributing, participating, knowing that it is all good, and so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Don. The feature today is a song by Ben Folds, a favorite song of mine. It's a beautiful song, actually, about a father meeting his son for the first time, seeing him, holding him in his arms for the first time. And I think it's a really beautiful representation of the strength that is passed down through generations as we go through this human experience. A song called Still Fighting It. Good morning, sun. I am a bird wearing a brown polyester shirt. You want a Coke, maybe some fries. The roast beef combo's only $9.95. It's okay, you don't have to pay. I've got all the change. but everybody does. It's so weird to be back here. Let me tell you what, the years go on and we're still fighting it. We're still fighting it. Good morning, sun. 20 years from now, maybe we'll both sit down and have a few beers, and I can tell you about today and how I picked you up and everything changed. It was pain, sunny days and rain. I knew you'd feel the same things. Everybody knows it sucks to grow up, but everybody does. It's so weird to be back here. Let me tell you what, the years go on and we're still fighting it. We're still fighting it. You try and try, and one day you'll fly away from me. Good morning, sun. 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 I am a bird. Good morning, sun. It was pain, sunny days and rain. I knew you'd feel the same things. Everybody knows it hurts to grow up, but everybody does. It's so weird to be back here. Let me tell you what, the years go on and we're still fighting it. We're still fighting it, and we're still fighting it. We're still fighting it, and you're so much like me. I'm sorry.
Good morning, Cityside. Do you know how lucky we are to have Greg Woods here this morning? His car got stuck in the alley, then he had to push it back in the garage, then Jonathan had to go get him. So I just want everyone online to just give Greg and Jonathan some love for making our music happen this morning. Thank you. So happy snowy Sunday morning. If you haven't been out, there's a lot of snow. But it is beautiful. So we're going to talk this morning. We're continuing our spiritual reboot. And we've been studying the first 4 chapters of the Science of Mind this month. Reverend Linda kicked us off with the thing itself. So God, it, as Ernest Holmes calls it, the power and presence. Reverend Darrell continued our conversation with the way it works. And the way it works is it works through us. Reverend Russ talked about what it does. Love and law, our ability to receive our good, tapping into that love nature. Reverend Kristen last Sunday gave us some great inspiration on how to actually use these principles in the world to create more of the world you want to see. And today I'm going to talk about how to use it. And specifically, I'm going to talk about building the muscle of belief. Because what I've noticed with the people that I pray with and people that I've had in classes with and just people I've known in our movement for a long time is we can know these teachings, but we don't always believe them. And so I want to kick us off with a story, and it's about three realists. And it's called A Story About Self-Fulfilling Prophecies. So there were three university students who were of equivalent intelligence and backgrounds, and they all had appointments to see the same career counselor. So the first student goes in, and the counselor says, "What do you expect from your career?" And the student says, "Well, I'm a realist. The best I can hope for is to get a job, any job, slog away for 40 years until I retire." Second student comes in. The counselor says, "What do you expect from your career?" Second student says, "I'm a realist. I think that I have a talent to find a reasonably fulfilling career, and if I put my head down and work hard, I should be reasonably successful." Third student comes in. "What do you expect from your career?" Student says, "I have grand ideas and bold dreams. I want to build businesses. I want to create jobs for others. I want to create innovative solutions to problems. I want to make a difference in the world, and I want to make a lot of money on the way." And the counselor says, "Is that realistic?" And the young woman said, "Of course." So the three students went on to graduate. They all had similar marks. They started their careers. The first student considered himself lucky to get a job, and he trudged through 40 years, but he hated it. He hated going to work. The second student found an entry-level job, worked really hard. Soon he climbed up through the ranks to a management job, and he enjoyed work, and he found it fulfilling. The third student followed her dreams. She created a great business. She went through some ups and downs. She persisted. She worked at becoming elite in her areas of strength, and she loved every minute of the adventure. They were all realists. They were all correct in what they predicted for their lives. So my question for you is, where do you see yourself in this story? Which one of those people are you? If I'm really honest, I think I'm number 2. I don't think I'm number 3. So their experience was what they believed it would be. And I shared this story because it helps us tap into this idea of what we believe is possible for ourselves. And what do we mean when we say belief anyway? You know, growing up for me, belief spiritually was this idea that there was some being outside of me who was going to decide I was good or bad, and that's how my life was going to go, whether I was good or bad. And as I've spent time in our teaching, I've been in New Thought for over 20 years now, and I've come to think about it differently. You know, belief is not believing in something outside of you. It's believing that these principles work, that the law acts according to my word that I speak in my prayers, that I speak in my life, and in the vibration that I'm putting out to the world, how I'm being. And I also believe that we live in a world that has a spiritual nature and it responds to us. Love and law, as we've talked about. Love, the nature of spirit, and law. Whatever we give a mold in form manifests. You know, in the Bible it says, "Prove me, says the Lord of hosts." And that's actually about tithing. And I'm not going there. But what I want to say about it is this whole idea, prove me. Prove this works. Prove this principle works. Because if you prove it, then you are going to increase your muscle of belief. We also call it demonstrating it when we talk about prayer. My prayer had a demonstration. And what are we demonstrating? We're demonstrating that we're living in a world that responds to us, a universe that responds to us. It's about seeing the evidence of what we're putting out and what we're calling forth through our spiritual practice, affirmative prayer, how we're being. And I want to talk first about how we block our good. I feel like I'm always talking about how we get in the way. I can't help it. I'm sorry. But we all have habits that block us, right? So the first one is that just to begin to notice where we don't believe that something's possible for us. We all have these things. Oh, I'm too old. I'm not talented enough. Whatever it is that we believe is not possible for us. And Don read to us, spirit responds to our belief. When one gives a treatment for right action and does not believe that right action will be the result, he makes his own treatment negative. Therefore, we should spend much time in convincing ourselves of the truth of our treatments. Now, this is not a power of will, but a power of choice. We do not put the power into the treatment, and we will take out of the treatment only as much as we believe in it. Jesus taught this too. It is done unto us as we believe. So I just want to invite you to examine your own life right now and notice where you think there is no possibility for things that you'd really like to have, or in areas where you would really like things to be different than what they are. And, it can be really subtle. I've been studying this positive intelligence book that I talked a little bit about a few months ago with some of my coworkers. And we have a pod call every week, and a few of them are already integrating what we're studying into their practice with their clients. And the person who created this work suggested, in my opinion, kind of an unreasonably high price for what he's doing. And my friends are like, oh, I'm charging that. I'm going to charge what he's suggesting. And I'm like, really? And it made me realize that, I didn't value myself enough to charge what they're suggesting, that I'm like, there's some place in me where I still, come from a place of lack, even though I don't think that's true about myself. I generally think I have an abundance mentality, but it made me look at myself and say, I think there's something here that I need to take a look at. How am I valuing myself? So that's what I mean when I say it's subtle, It's subtle. It gets in our way sometimes, and we don't even realize it's happening. So I want you to look within yourself right now and ask yourself, where in my life am I not getting the results that I want? Or where am I settling for less than what I want to have? And, no judgment here. Do not judge whatever comes up. Just notice it. I hadn't thought about this when I was preparing, but I remember years ago I went to this leadership training thing, and one of the people in my class, they gave you peer feedback, and he said to me, he goes, you are settling for way less in your life than you should be, Aimee. You're doing it everywhere, And I was like, wow, that was a little harsh, and I think I actually cried, but it did make me think. And so my point is just like, don't judge yourself. Just notice. Wherever you are, whatever's going on, just notice. And whatever the difficulty of your life is, whatever your experiences in the world of form right now, just know that it can be shifted. Maybe it's not going to happen overnight, but a little bit every day. It's like anything we do. How can you stretch your belief just a little bit, where you believe in what's possible for you more? And if you have something in your mind that you'd really like to do and you just can't get your head around it, just do what's next. Just stretch your mind a little bit. Maybe you can see someone else who's doing it, and it gives you a little bit of hope that that's possible for you. So just notice and begin to start seeing more of what's possible in your life. The second thing I think we do that blocks us is we negate our spiritual work through negative thoughts, through conversations, this continual conversation of what's wrong. I know the family I grew up in it, if you would call somebody on the phone, so probably the conversation would be about, well, what's not going right now? It wouldn't be like, oh, let's celebrate everything good, right? And that's the conversation of the world. The conversation of the world can be very negative. It's habitual. And sometimes those habits are the people who are closest to us. And I've also, I taught a class this week on emotional intelligence for the first time, and I learned something I didn't know before in my preparation, and that's based on research, Most people have more negative thoughts every day than positive thoughts. I don't know about you, but I didn't know that. And it kind of makes sense neurologically because our brain is always trying to keep us safe. And so, it's scanning for threats. Ooh, that could be a threat, that could be a threat, that could be a threat. And here's the thing, you can't control the thoughts, but you can notice when they're happening. You can choose not to feed them. You can breathe. You can do a prayer. You can call for prayer. There's so many things you can do, but don't feed the thought. Do whatever you need to do to bring yourself back to a neutral place. We have a choice. We don't have to think these negative thoughts out loud, right? We don't have to. We don't have to feed them. We don't need to engage in conversations about them. We don't need to post them on social media. We don't need to give them power. We don't need to let them continue to be our experience. The other thing this research showed, which I think is super interesting, is that people who focus on the positive are more likely to be happy because they see the positive things. They don't see the negative things. And it might seem a little Pollyanna, but we all see evidence of the world we believe in. And it's called confirmation bias, actually. That's the term for it. It's confirmation bias. We confirm that our view of the world is correct. So if we believe we're a victim, we're going to see evidence of that. If we think that people are bad, we're going to see evidence of that. And we find evidence that supports our belief. So I'm sure someone right now is thinking, well, what about spiritual bypass? Are you encouraging me to spiritual bypass? I'm not talking about denying reality in the world of form. I'm talking about not giving it power, right? It's not an entity unto itself. Ernest Holmes, his nickname was Happy, by the way, if you didn't know that about him, which cracks me up. But in referring to spirit, first cause, he says, we are dealing with a fluent force. It is forever taking form and forever deserting the form it has taken. Thus, a practitioner of this science should not be confused over any given form, but should know that any form which is not of the original harmony is subject to change. If it is not of the original harmony, it is subject to change. So our job is to keep our mind out of the conditions and on the spiritual reality that we want to see manifested. We always say, spirit always says yes, right? And I want to pause for a moment and address something in the world of form. Because I know when I give talks and when others do about our principles, sometimes it brings up things for people. And one of the topics that I think brings up things up for people with our teaching is this issue of racial equity. I've gotten a few phone calls saying, okay, how is this teaching even congruent with that? How can you say things are good when clearly that's not true in the world of form, that people are still being harassed and they don't have equal opportunity? And also that, it's easy for me to say this as a white person, and I get all of that. So I'm not saying it's all good and that it doesn't need to be addressed. I think we have plenty of evidence that we as a country are still working on our collective consciousness on race. We're still not where we need to be. And when religious science became a church, that's what it was in those days, it was a church. Someone suggested to Ernest Holmes that there should be segregation, and he said, you clearly do not understand what we teach. That is not happening in our church because we teach oneness, and that's what we're going to be practicing. So I think if Ernest were here, what he would say is, and I'm going to quote him, we should be able to look at a wrong condition with the knowledge that we can change it. So we're not denying that in the world of form there is presently racial inequity and discrimination and bias. But what we are saying is as practitioners, and we're all practitioners, that we're holding a new mold in consciousness so that the current experience in the world of form can shift. But we have to hold that in consciousness and support it with our prayer work, and our individual action needs to be in alignment with this new consciousness we want to call forth. So I'm not denying the experience that people have had and are having, but I'm saying we have to hold the dream, the vision, like Martin Luther King painted for us in his famous speech. So our role is to treat and move our feet, as we like to say, and do whatever we are personally guided to do to bring forth a new consciousness in America around racial equity. And the work that Jonathan and Reverend Judy and Paul are leading, the circle, is very important, because I know I myself have become much more aware this last year of what people's experience really is. So we want to hold with Ernest Holmes. There are no obstacles in the pathway of truth. There are no obstacles in the pathway of racial equity. So that's how, I'm just addressing what's been asked of me spiritually. That's how I hold that with this principle and not feel incongruent. So I want to talk about trying to figure it out. Anybody else pray and then try to figure it out besides me? Okay. We say all the time, the how does not belong to us. We say that over and over again, and yet we still try to figure out the how, don't we? But if we really believe in this power and the presence of God in all things, and that God, the universe, pick your word, responds to us, we need to trust and surrender to our highest good. And I know it can feel really passive to do that. It can feel like we're just surrendering, we're doing nothing. But it's about trusting and affirming that your highest good is happening, then acting from where you're led. Where are you being led? What doors are opening for you? What doors are closing for you? Just move from there. You don't need to know the end of the story, because we never know the end of the story. And so often the story works out far better than we could write. But the next part of the story will reveal itself in the right time if you simply pause and notice what's present now. You know, when I quit my corporate job, I really didn't have a plan. I didn't have a vision. But I learned something important in that time, and that is that the next step did reveal itself when it was time. And I'll be honest and say I had a lot of human concerns about money. But as Mother Teresa said, things showed up exactly when they needed to. And it didn't mean that I never was tight on money. It didn't mean that, honestly, my credit cards were not too high sometimes, just being real about it. But what I notice is that the way made itself known over time. You know, in the Prosperity Plus class that so many people have taken, Mary Morrissey teaches, do what you can with what you have from where you are. Do what you can with what you have from where you are. So what you have might simply be an idea. It might be an idea, an inspiration about your life. And when an idea comes, you should act on it. You know, Esther Hicks says when an idea comes to you, it means that in that moment, everything's lined up. But what do? I'll tell you what I do a lot of times. I put it on my to-do list. Then it's probably not aligned anymore, you know? But when we put it on a list to do it later, then we get into this place of doubt, like, well, should I do it or shouldn't I do it? Like, if you have the inspiration, do it. It's either going to be a good thing or it's not going to be a good thing, but at least you did it, right? And Rich and I were laughing the other night because we've known each other almost 20 years, but the way we ended up to start to date is he saw a tweet that I made, and he wrote to me on Twitter. I said, that's your version of online dating, honey. You ask women out on Twitter. And we could debate whether he was asking me out or not. He claims he wasn't. But anyway, the end result is here we are a few years later, and we have a good relationship. But what would have happened if he hadn't followed that, right? So that's true with anything. You know, sometimes we're just putting stuff out there and we're seeing what's going to stick, and that's okay. It's okay to be in that place. So how do we build this muscle of belief? We work it. We work it through affirmative prayer. We work it by noticing our demonstrations, big and small. We work it by following our inspirations, by following synchronicities. We work it by noticing where our beliefs don't serve us. We work it by refusing to give the conditions of our life power through fear, through negativity, through negative conversations. And we work it by stop trying to figure out the how. And then we notice when things begin to shift. We notice how day to day we can embrace a little more belief. We notice, even if we can't see the end of the story, we can see the story evolving. We can see ourselves changing. And that's how we know our belief is getting smaller, or stronger, smaller. Just, yeah. Where did that come from? Mental anomaly. But I want to close with a story probably everybody knows. It's the parable of the seeds and the sower. And Jesus is said to have told this parable because people were not understanding his teachings. So he said, I'm going to try again. I'm going to do something different. So we know the story. The farmer plants the seeds, right? Some of them fell on the road and they were taken away by the birds. Some of them fell on the rock and they couldn't take root. Some of them fell in the weeds and they were strangled so they couldn't grow. And some of the seeds fell on good soil and they produced a good crop. But 75% of what the farmer planted was actually wasted. And why was it wasted? It was wasted because he wasn't paying attention. He wasn't paying attention to what he was trying to produce, which was the good crop. So how can we be attentive? We can build the muscle of our belief through our practice, our affirmative prayer, our way of being. We can do all the things we've been talking about today. Esther Hicks teaches us, ask, believe, receive, right? Ask, that's our work. We ask. Believe, the law does the work. It's not our job to get it done. The law does the work. And then receive, that's our work, is to receive. We ask, we believe, we receive. We work to remove every obstacle in our own minds and beliefs to allow us to be receivers of our good. As Ernest Holmes says, there are no obstacles in the pathway of truth. Your current experience does not dictate your future. Let's take that into prayer. Just invite everyone to turn within and close your eyes. And how happy I am to be in prayer in this moment with this beautiful Cityside community. Just knowing and affirming the presence of God, the presence of good, the presence of possibility and creativity, grace, synchronicity, in, as, and through all things. And I know my oneness with this presence and power, all of this possibility, this creative source. And I know this for each person hearing my words, that we are all with this one with this creative power and presence, this presence for good, this presence which is for us, this presence which is never absent. And so from this place of oneness, I just speak a word of transformation for each and every one of us, knowing and affirming the truth that God's got this. God has a divine plan for all of our lives. And we simply need to open our hearts and our minds to God's plan for our lives. And so I just know and affirm for each and every one of us that we are one with that which we are seeking. That which we are seeking is seeking us. That Spirit is saying yes to all your hopes, all your dreams, and that any experience in the world of form right now, it can be shifted. I just know that this presence and power is stronger than any condition. And so I just know whatever you're holding in mind right now, I just invite you to think about it. Anything you want to shift, I know that Spirit's got it. That this is already shifted. It's already done. The highest and best for your life is manifesting even now. This is the truth I am knowing and declaring for all of us. And I'm so grateful for this. I'm so grateful to speak these words of truth. So grateful to know that the Holy Spirit, the whole spirit of your life is guiding you. So grateful to know that prayer is fulfilled now. And with so much gratitude, I simply say, and so it is, amen.
Thank you, Reverend Aimee. Thank you for closing us out on our January theme of spiritual reboot. So appreciate that. Cityside is supported by our community through the gifts of your time, talent, and financial contributions. So together we practice conscious giving to support Cityside in creating the space and the experience of us being in community each and every week. So on the giving page of our website, you'll find several easy ways to give. One, you can make a one-time gift using a debit or credit card. You can use that same process to set up a recurring gift. You can go and request the snail mail address if you prefer to mail in a gift. And then we've got a text to give option, and that's where you can text the word give, G-I-V-E, to 312-757-8111. And if it's your first time using this function, you have to provide a little bit of information. But after that, you'll be set up, and you just put in the amount, text it to that number, and you'll be all set. So as we make our gifts, I want to invite you into a practice of gratitude. So if you'll just take a moment right here, right now, just to close your eyes, just to turn within, and just to reflect back on the week that was. And what are you grateful for? Where are there moments or memories of connection or of peace or of just silence or anything that you can find some gratitude for in your heart and in your consciousness, even if it's just for the beautiful snow that is falling out the window, but just finding your gratitude. And now turning this attention to your money and breathing in the energy of gratitude into that space, into the financial, into your abundance, into your money, just affirming gratitude all around. Yes, so grateful. And now let's affirm our giving affirmation together. So, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am. Thank you, Cityside, for your gifts. It's very important to us to be here with you every week in community, and it's because of your gifts. So thank you.
I can see clearly now the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day.
All right, Cityside community, we want to give some special thanks to our Sunday team for making today magical. Keith, Dom, John, Don, Greg, and Reverend Aimee, thank you. And to all of you who joined us online, we look forward to being with you next week when Reverend Kathy Young begins our February conversation, Awakening the Heart. And finally, please don't leave with anything heavy on your heart. If you need prayer support, you can request prayer on our website. There's a support tab in the header, and you will see prayer request. And there you can type your written message and have a practitioner pray on it. Or you could also type a message and request a call from a practitioner. Someone will call and pray live with you. So please take advantage of the community. Lean into us and let us support you. Until next week, Cityside, have a wonderful week. I hope you go outside and enjoy this beautiful weather that simply is. Build a snowman, make some snow angels, and just enjoy life. But thank you, Cityside.
Thank you, Jonathan, and thank you for picking me up this morning. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. Little darling, the smiles returning to their faces. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. Sun, 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 here it comes. Sun, 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 here it comes. Darling, I feel that ice is slowly melting. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been clear. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. Sun, 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 here it comes. Enjoy your snow day, Cityside.